And I don't know if I've actually seen anybody so original talking about Mitsurugi Hecahands. What's up, guys? Yesterday we covered Cooltoon, a new archetype from the set Phantom Revenge, set to release in North America on the 19th. If you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. I'll have it linked right here for you. And today we're going to cover Hecahands, another archetype from the set. So let's get right into it. So here we are in Omega, and I know we have a lot of cards on screen, but we're just going to start with the Hecahands stuff. This is an illusion monster archetype. It's split between light and dark monsters. They have varied levels, and they have different kinds of effects, almost like Memento works, where there's like some through lines, but really they all kind of do something different. Without further ado, we'll get into it, starting with Hecahands Ibtel. This is a level 6 illusion light monster. The light monsters have effects in the hand and effects in the graveyard. This one reveals itself in the hand to special summon a Hecahands monster other than itself from your deck in defense position and then shuffle itself back into the deck. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one Hecahands monster in your graveyard except itself and special summon it. If you made it this far in the video, consider leaving a like and subscribe so you can help the channel grow. Thanks so much for watching. Yawdel is also level 6 light illusion. This one reveals itself in the hand to search for a Hecahands spell trap, and when it hits the graveyard, it sets a Hecahands spell trap from the grave. All three of the dark monsters are level 7, and they all have the same trigger effect to summon themselves from the hand if your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand outside the draw step. Godos has a quick effect to special summon a monster from your opponent's graveyard. Gygus has an effect to look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck and special summon a monster from among them. And Brius has an effect to look at a random card in your opponent's hand and special summon it to your field if it's a monster. And so what are we doing with our opponent's monsters once we take them with our dark monster effects? We use them to make Jauza. Jauza? Correct my pronunciation in the comments. This is a light level 8 illusion monster. It must be fusion summoned or summoned using the special summoning conditions, which are attributing an illusion monster you control and a monster owned by your opponent that you control. And each turn during the main phase, you can add a Hecahands card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. We also have another less popular fusion monster that has to be fusion summoned conventionally and requires 3 Hecahands monsters, but it does look at 2 cards from your opponent's extra deck and special summon one of them to your field. And if you control it and it's destroyed by card effects, you get to change of heart anything on your opponent's board. Moving on from the monster cards, we have a few spells and traps to discuss before we can get into tech choices and deck building. The hidden Hecahands has been localized to just Hecahands, I'm pretty sure, but this is the search spell for the archetype. You activate it and you search for a Hecahands monster, but like Mitsurugi Prayers, you can send a card you control to the graveyard when you activate it as cost, and if you do, you get to set a Hecahands spell trap from your deck on resolution. So this is going to bolster your end board by adding a trap card to your setup. And it also has a graveyard effect to banish itself, and your opponent draws one and ditches one, so that will trigger the effects of the dark monsters in your hand to special summon themselves and start stealing your opponent's stuff. The next spell card is one that I think is going to see a little less play. This is a quick play spell called Hecahands Tartarus. It's modal, and you can activate each mode once per turn. The first bounces a spell trap your opponent controls to the hand as long as you control a Hecahands monster, and the second effect lets you fusion summon using monsters you control and monsters in your graveyard. If you use a face-up monster that's originally owned by your opponent that you control, you can treat it as a Hecahands. If the fusion monsters offered more disruption, summoning them at quick effect speed might be better, but for now, I don't think it's going to do much. And lastly, we have the in-engine counter traps, and I'm going to talk about them 2 at a time because they're kind of similar. Both of them negate and destroy a card activated by your opponent as long as you control a Hecahands monster. Yod All Hecahands negates a speller trap and then sets it to your side of the field, and Ib All Hecahands negates and destroys a monster effect and then special summons it to your field. So they remind me of Totally Awesome in that way. They're really powerful counter traps. And so let's get started talking about deck building and tech ideas. Obviously, we're going to play some quantity of Nightmare Apprentice, probably 3. This gets rid of a card in your hand to special summon itself and then searches for any illusion monster. Like I said, all of the Hecahands monsters are illusion monsters, so they're targets for Nightmare Apprentice. And if you send one of the light monsters and you're later in your combo, or it's maybe turn 2 or something, you can trigger them to get back a spell trap or get back a monster. So that's internal synergy, that's pretty cool. Another package that people are playing the deck with is the Chimera Fusion package. And I like this because it gives you a normal summon, right? It gives you a couple different normal summons, and that's nice because all of these are high level monsters, and the level 7s have summoning conditions, and Ibtel summons one from the deck when it's in the hand. So having access to a normal summon is nice. And I think that the plus that you get off of Big Wang Baphomet and the internal synergy of being able to get rid of illusion monsters for half of the Hecahands fusion is pretty interesting. But other than that, and the fact that Nightmare Apprentice bridges between the archetypes, I don't really see a lot of power being added to the end board other than Guardian Chimera. And I know it goes plus, but I'm not 100% sold on it. And I'm not trying to tell you it's bad. I think it's better than playing Pure, if Pure is even an option. But And I don't know if I've actually seen anybody who's so original talking about Mitsurugi Hecahands. This is actually really cool in my opinion, and let me give you like a little quick rundown on why I think so. The first reason is, like I said, there's no normal summon. So you can play a higher quantity of Aramasa or Saji if you want to. You could play Manju, you could play Lamia, whatever you want. But I think that there's potential for this because one interesting synergy is that the deck is trying to make Zombie Vampire. Now, you may have seen combo videos for Hecahands where they like summon one of your opponent's monsters from graveyard and then they use it to make Jowza, and then they take one of your opponent's monsters again with one of the other Hecahands monsters, and then they use the level 8 Jowza plus the monster that they took from their opponent to make Zombie Vampire because they're allowed to treat it as a level 8. But I think that's kind of messy, and I don't think it really plays into the win condition of the deck. And so I figured, why not use the Mitsurugi level 8s to make Zombie Vampire? It's really consistent off of just Habakiri to make a rank 8 plus the Murakumo M board. You can include Purification if you want to, or you can just on Murakumo Prayer's follow-up. But one thing the Hecahands strategy is built on is Omni Negates, which is fantastic. Well, I won't say Omni Negates, but I'll say counter traps that serve as Omni Negates if you resolve the full combo, which actually isn't that hard. And depending on what the board looks like, you may very well be able to use your Jowza with one of your Mitsurugi 8s to make the Zombie Vampire, or you may be able to use one of your Mitsurugi 8s with a monster you've taken from your opponent to make the Zombie Vampire. But if you only see the Mitsurugi half, that Zombie Vampire play point can bridge you into Hecahands and fill your graveyard with Hecahands targets for Ibtel's graveyard effect if you later resolve it. And yes, you're summoning the Zombie Vampire because you can use your opponent's monsters as if they were level 8s, but by including the Mitsurugi cards, you get access to other rank 8s like Hope Harbinger or Photon Galaxy Lord. The last tech card I wanted to talk about as a potential normal summon is actually Cartesia of all things. I think this card's kind of interesting because you can use it to fuse Hecahands monsters in your hand. You can make Guardian Chimera on your opponent's turn. You can make Jowza more proactively, which is kind of interesting. And it will trigger the graveyard effects of your light Hecahands monsters to set spell traps and special summon monsters from the graveyard, but I don't actually think this is that good. Try the Illusion package or try Mitsurugi, or maybe even try both, I don't know. But with the tech out of the way, we'll try to talk about some of the routing. This is a kind of non-traditional deck, so some of the routing might look weird, but like if you start with normal spell, you can always add the one that specials from your opponent's graveyard and then use it to make them draw one, ditch one, and then try to summon that way. Go for Jowza, use Jowza to get Yaddle, get a counter trap. Notably, you can make this a little bit better by getting the counter trap you're not getting off of Yaddle when you activate the normal spell by sending a trash card from your hand to the graveyard by like setting it first, because it will let you set the other counter trap on resolution. Notably, you can also get to this combo from Yaddle to search the normal spell, set something from your hand like another spell trap, send it when you activate the normal spell to set a counter trap from your deck and search for a Hecahands monster, then you banish the normal spell. You're going to use this one actually. You banish the normal spell, they draw one, ditch one, you hope it's a monster, you summon it to your field, then you make the fusion and you use the fusion to search the other counter trap and you've ended on both, but this still requires getting a monster from your opponent. And that's ultimately why I think Mitsurugi into Zombie Vampire is going to be optimal if you're trying to play this deck without the Chimera stuff. I've kind of been saying it the whole video, but I think the coolest thing about this archetype release is how efficient it will be at getting to one or both of its counter traps and bolstering the M board of another strategy, whether that's the Illusion Fusion package or the Mitsurugi Ritual package. But with all that said, let's talk about potential future support. So I think it's pretty natural to say that Hecahands deserves maybe a normal summon, so I could see them getting a level 4 or lower monster. It's interesting because the consistency of the deck is already spread out between the light attribute monsters and the fusion monster. I don't know if I could see this normal summon going plus, but then I don't really know what it would do. I could also see the archetype getting a continuous spell with an effect of something along the lines of like the first time you resolve a Hecahands monster effect in your hand each turn, trigger this effect to draw a card, because everything in the deck goes like net neutral right now except the fusion monster. And so having a way to go plus off of, you know, the grind game win condition of the deck, which is using the resource loop of resetting the spells and traps and getting them from the deck to begin with, to do that like with a continuous spell that let you draw on your opponent's turn or draw on your own turn after revealing one of them to search or revealing one of them to special summon itself when your opponent adds a card, I think that would be quite interesting too. But I could also see them getting another fusion monster, maybe one that benefits from being summoned at quick effect speed, like when this is summoned, take control of one of your opponent's monsters. But really, I think this one is pretty much wide open. Like I could even see us getting another counter trap that negates summons, you know? Let me know in the comments what you think is most likely for future Hecahands support. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to check in tomorrow for my video covering the last deck from Phantom Revenge, Anycraft, which is all pendulums, flips, and tries to burn your opponent for game. So that one's going to be crazy too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.